I met Alain at the Impact Hub Amsterdam one day, and when I first met him, he smiled at me and I instantly connected with him. There's something about his smile that indicates that he's open to receive. So it was so natural for me to just have a chat with him. Yeah, so humble. I think you're so humble that there's no resistance. You know, like you're not trying to get in your own way, and so you're so open to receive. And when you made that presentation, I was very moved that you are doing this to help people. I can see that authenticness. The moment you said, this is 10 years of my life, I feel it, you know? It's really 10 years of life, working really hard to help others. I mean, what kind of human are you? 10 years helping others. So selfless. A great example. So it was just that one sentence is enough. That's it for me. For me to feel that I really want to help this man. I want to help this guy because I don't know. It's like a natural thing, you know. I cannot explain it. I just want to help. Just one sentence, enough. And I think it's also the way how you explain it, how you convey that message. So we had a chat after your presentation, a long one actually. We had so much fun joking around, and you also share your stories, you know,
going
briefly.
to Mars.
Yeah, that was part of it. Yeah, we had a joke about Mars, indeed. Inside the joke, which you will not understand. But Alan shared his stories from how he first went to Ghana and met the people, the chief, meeting the politician and all this stuff, and actually built a community, immerse himself in the community, which was very interesting to me, very delightful to hear. Was very inspired, really inspired, and I think that his story is because I was inspired, and I believe there are many others who are like me. I mean, we are humans. When we hear this story, we will feel inspired, and I think this is very. It's good that we will hear Alan's story. You know, chicken soup for the soul. Yeah, so I decided to say, hey, please invite me to your space and let's have a conversation. And here I am in a beautiful sunny day. It welcomes me, and a cat, and a chocolate, and tea. So I'm grateful. So here I am. Really, this is why I'm here. I cannot explain why I'm here. I just felt it's like a natural thing. When I'm hungry, I go and find something to eat. When I feel like someone inspires me, I just want to help. That's it.
I'm grateful that you're here. I think it's in the openness that we met. When I came in, you were one of the first people that I saw. I didn't know you, and I saw your openness. And I think what we have in common is, next to this openness, the feeling to want to contribute. I think that is the space where we met. You say now also that you are here because you feel invited in the openness to step in and you want to help. Basically, that's the same space that I stepped in when I went to Ghana. So it's an amazing space of opportunities, possibilities, not opportunities, possibilities. And that's also interesting because in my fantasy, in the space that we meet also has other words than the space that people meet when they are in business or so an opportunity is something else than a space of potentiality. And an opportunity is something that I can grab. And potential is something that is out there. But anyway, I don't know. So I'm really curious what this conversation is going to bring us, and we can go anywhere we want to go.
Yeah.
And maybe it's good to well, we don't have an agenda, we don't have a calendar, so let's have an open conversation about things that are interesting to us. And I also would like us to have a conversation, not like you ask questions and I give answers. Let's explore together, because I also have my questions.
Okay.
And you know, I don't believe that I can answer your questions, especially not on aspects that are about life and about why I'm doing the things that I'm doing and those kind of things. And you can answer mine, but in this space that we apparently create together, the space of meeting, and the openness people meet each other, and by sharing in that space, it's a completely different kind of conversation that you have when you are sharing in the open space. And from that sharing, I can learn from what you say by listening, and I can learn from what I say in the conversation with you, also by listening. So that is the space that I already feel that we are meeting in. And well, let's see where this meeting will bring us.
That's, you know, oh my God.
And we can speak about a lot of things. We can speak about what I'm doing and why I'm doing the things and how. I don't know, but it's interesting to explore. We can speak about spiritual aspects. We can speak about
let's do it.
Having fun in life.
Let's
see what you want to discuss. What comes up.
Well, I want to hear about your story about Ghana. How it all started. How did it all started, and how did you end up working 10 years for this community?
Yeah,
that's something I'm very curious about.
You know, I don't really know. I can pinpoint certain moments, then this, then this, then this.
Yes.
But to be honest, I think where I am now is a consequence of a process of me exploring what it means to be born as a man in a body named Alain, in this time, in this place of the world. And that is a question that has been fascinating me since I don't know when, from childhood on. And working with that question, what does it mean to be here now as a human being in this context that I'm in? Still is a question that I have every day.
I think you will never know, because sometimes when I think about Work Brown, which is the company that I founded, I still don't understand why I founded Work Brown. I don't understand it. And I keep questioning myself, why am I doing this? I don't understand it. And for me also that was a process, because first I had questions and tensions of not having the answers. If I'm educated here in the West, born and raised in Amsterdam, had school here, university, and had a successful career in business. So I'm biased by the context in which I grew up, and also my mind is trained in a certain way to think. And one is, if you have a question, you need an answer. Yes, that's true.
I've been working as a consultant, and people pay money to get answers.
Change consultant.
And that is really interesting, because for me the question is far more important, and what you say is crucial. You will never know.
But the curiosity is always there. It's like every time yeah, the question will come. Why are you doing this? I don't understand. I keep asking. I keep telling myself, I don't understand. I don't understand. But then the answer never came. So there seems to be something deep that we will never understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how I feel.
Yes.
So indeed, when people ask me how do you find more ground, I also like, I cannot pinpoint. I don't know. I really don't know. So it's great that you also answer the same thing.
Yeah, and the exercise for me is to relax with the not knowing.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe that is, for me, a spiritual practice helps me. And also I don't know if it's fortune or faith. It doesn't matter. But I ended up in a career that also professionally I work with people as a change management consultant, focused on the field between strategy on paper and how to make it work with people, trained in group dynamics. I could combine what I learned in my education, what I learned in my profession, what I saw in my profession with my own personal journey as a meditation practitioner. And to see that if I want to understand things out there, if I want to understand you, I need to learn more about myself, because we are both human beings and you are completely different than I am, and yet you are not. You're completely the same. To make it more practical, otherwise maybe it becomes a too fluffy conversation. We both have all the emotion, the pattern of emotions that we have is not so much different. You and I both have the capacity for love, for fear, for anger, for hate, for doubt, for certainty, and they pop up in different moments, in different circumstances. And that maybe works different with you than with me. But the patterns underneath, hope coming up, or pain coming up, or anger, or fear, the dynamics are interesting to me. So if I know how it works with me, how fear comes in me, and what it does to me in my thinking and my acting, maybe then I can also understand somebody else better. And if I see somebody else in fear, wanting to help there is different than if I can connect with it. I recognize the person is in a situation that is unpleasant. I recognize that situation as unpleasant because I know it feels unpleasant to me, and then to work consciously with it. I don't know if this makes any sense. So
it makes sense.
If I try to help you, let's say you are in fear and I notice, and if I try to help you to get out of the fear, that is different than when I am aware that you are in fear. I know how that feels, and to be with you in that space of fear, to let fear relax and resolve. It's a completely different process. And we don't learn it ourselves. It is not taught at school. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, we don't, at least in the context that I grew up, it is not common that a human being learns what it means to be a human being in terms of dealing with the interior. It's like we have a car, our body is a car, and we don't know how it works under the hood, as long as it drives. And it takes me there, and it takes me there.
That's because we were taught to separate ourselves when we were very young. We separate ourselves by being told what is what. When we are given language, we identify things. We say that that's a camera, we say that that's a plant. And the fact that that's a plant is not me, so it's a separation. And when you separate yourself from the environment, then you will feel like you have to confront what's out there. Because it's me, right? I'm here, and everything else is outside. So,
and interesting, one of the first laws in Buddhism is, I understand that resonates what you described. Hey, you have me and everything that is not me.
Yeah, that's right.
And in Buddhism, they say the cause of all suffering is separation.
Yes,
dualism.
Yeah.
It's me, not me, and yet it's there.
So if you're having this sort of attitude towards life, then there is not really a room to. You're always looking outward. I want to defend myself. Always confronting outward. So there's not much inwards. You know, there's no space because you're so busy defending yourself against something that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
So people are lost. They are always confronting outwards and always defending. When you're always in a defensive mode, there's no room for you to meditate and to look inwards. And that's the problem with a lot of people.
But who is the one who is looking outwards? That is
is the illusion of the ego. You know, that who is looking? Yeah.
Oh, that's the question.
It's the Brahman, is the God that identify itself with an image that is looking outwards. So it got so hung up with acting and it lost itself in the act. Yeah, that's it. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Like an actor on the stage, they act so well they forgot his acting.
Yeah, and in my fantasy we create a duality, me, not me, and that's a duality. There is me and there's everything that is not me. That is already a duality that in reality, in the spiritual traditions, people are told it doesn't exist, and yet it does exist. I wanted to say something, but the way you are looking at me, then it goes away. This is not relevant.
It's meant to be.
I'm bullshitting now. No, but for instance, if we have emotions, then who is the one who has the emotions and what is in control? People are often overwhelmed by their emotions, and the emotion take control over them. But who is then being controlled, or how can I contain my emotions? If I'm sad, do I let my tears go, or do I cry, throw it away, or do I keep it in? How can I be with it?
Well, for me, I think we are the emotions, right? We are the feelings. We are just like a process. So when I'm sad, I am the sad. You don't need a sadder to sad. Yeah. You are the sad. So
I like what one of my teachers, Teach Nathan, he often uses the metaphor of clouds. And a cloud can have many different shapes. He always tells a story that when I drink a cup of tea, I see a cloud, because the water from the cloud has entered in my cup as tea. But what I like, emotions are like clouds, like they come and they go. They come and they go.
That's just like a process, right? Yeah, it's just like a process.
And if I understand how that works inside of me, I can not control them, but because control is like this, but I can contain them. I can hold my emotions, and then they become helpers, or they can become helpers. You were asking about how I ended up in Ghana. Well, you know, what is interesting now is I see a lot of things that I label as not righteous, or as wrong, or as painful. People that I work with in Africa are not educated, living in rural area, and are poor. And the situation where they are in is not an easy situation, and is also a situation they cannot change themselves without help from other people outside. There are so many things that I can easily label as unjust, and some things really make me angry when I have people that are dear to me dying for reasons that could have been different, let's say it like that. And for me now is, you know, I still have that anger and I still have that feeling of unjust that is being done, and we can change it. And yet I also notice how difficult it is to change those things. And you know, as a consultant, I had the luxury, the problem was always there, and I was paid to tell other people how, or advise them and help them how to solve their issues and their problems. But I could always keep it there. And now here I really stepped into something which is not a cognitive thing. I'm working with people in Ghana and here to create something that makes life for people more pleasurable, or pleasurable is not the right word, more humane.
Yeah.
Humane is the right word. Yeah. But then for me personally, it also brings the question, what does it mean to be human? And what I notice is, what connects me with the community in Ghana is that there is this space of meeting that we create together, and the people there, as black and white, the difference in the colors of our skin also are some of our concepts about how to be a good person in the community, or what that means to be successful, or what is the value of money. So by first engaging with the people, I learned from their perspective, and the way that we met, something was created that maybe, I wouldn't use the word trust, but maybe that comes close. There was this space of meeting, and in the space of meeting there is understanding, though the understanding is not from the head. And
intuition.
Maybe, but in my fantasy there, people don't really understand what I'm doing, but they feel my heart and they feel my integrity, and that brings trust, and at the same time it's not enough. We bring visible change that is labeled as positive. So you know, there are so many stories in this one question. How did you came up here? It's a journey. It's a journey. You know, when I first was invited, I had this idea. I was on I had a complete other agenda, a complete different program. I have a background in change management. I have developed a leadership development program for professionals here in Europe, and to take them to Africa as part of their learning journey was part of that program. And the program was designed to teach professionals here in Western European companies to integrate sustainability in the primary process of their work. And the program was designed as an add-on to a project that they have on their desk. And they and basically what the project that would do, the program was doing, was helping people to take a few extra steps by asking questions and looking at elements that are about sustainability. In companies you always see still, and for 15 years this has been a point of concern for me, when we speak of sustainability, it is about reuse of plastics, or reduction of plastics. It's always about something in the outside, but if we really want to have a sustainable economy or a sustainable company, you have to integrate it into primary processes, the things you do to make your money and the way that you earn and you spend your money. And that was the program was developed like that. So you are in a project, you take the project in the program, and by asking, working 9 months on extra questions, you learn to take maybe one little extra step that makes your projects more sustainable, because you have been asking the questions and organizing it in a project that is in part of your primary process. So basically that was the idea. And but my point was that doesn't benefit people in Africa. And it needs to be mutually beneficial. We cannot come here like tourists and then go again. That was not what I wanted. So, and then I found that the needs of these people are so primary and so basic, and yet they are things that they are not there, that they do not have.
Yes.
And it's all about stability in terms of food on the table, a decent income, and healthy social interaction in the community is under pressure, because people are under pressure because they don't have food on the table and because they don't earn enough money for the work that they are doing. So they are under pressure, which create distance between people, and people cannot help each other anymore, because that is how the community survives. It's both when you are poor, it's a survival mechanism. If you have a tomato and I have an onion, together we have soup. That's one thing. And yet it also is mentality. So with us, at least in how I grew up, a lot of relationships are transactional relationships. And often the question is, what's in it for me? And in the tradition that is hard to find, also in Africa, and really going to extinction in Africa. But the tradition is that sharing is a natural thing to do. It's normal. I can give examples, but maybe that takes too much time. So I started to learn and understand who are the people in Africa and what are their needs. And from one thing came another. The program, to make a long story short, instead of teaching others in the program, we ended up doing it ourselves. So I started, when I was invited, I had a whole tour and traveled through different parts of the country. Was taken to the former vice president of Ghana. I've seen important people, but what touched me the most were two women groups, and the two women groups that are having few to no resources. And what struck me was the strength of the community, and there was another women group. We are now working with the Palia Women's Association, a group of women who we help to organize themselves. In Ghana, Western Africa, shea butter is part of tradition. So you have a tree that's called the shea tree, and that tree can grow 300 years old. And after 15 years it starts giving its first fruits. But the tree is important for many reasons, because the leaves are medicinal and they are nutritious. The fruit of the tree is nutritious, has a lot of vitamin. The bark is used as toothbrush and toothpaste. The roots are also medicinal, and the wood is very strong, so you can use it to build or as firewood. So the tree has a really important position in the culture and tradition of this community. And from the kernel, the pit of the fruit, you can extract oil. And that oil is called shea or shea butter. And that is, in Africa, in the tradition of the community, a mother teaches her daughter how to extract the oil from the pit of the shea nut, and then it provides food on the table because they cook in shea butter, and it's more healthy than coconut butter to cook in, and it's a very nutritious food, and it has amazing qualities for skincare. So that is how women in West Africa for thousands of years, from mother to daughter, learn that shea is part of their tradition and for me, there are several reasons to start with working with these women and the women group. There are logical reasons, like shea is also in international trading a very popular product. It's been used in cosmetic creams, and it's being used in plant-based food, vegan food, and it's a huge international business. It's about $3 billion every year is traded in the industry, and it has a large growing industry. So that was one element. It's a potential product that is popular in the international market, so we can do something in a growing market. There's space enough for a new player, etc., etc. That was one element. The other is, it is what the people know, what they can do, what they know of, and the women express themselves. We want to do this because it brings us not only money, food, they can generate a little income with it, but it also brings a woman dignity, because it's part of their tradition. And a woman who makes shea butter is a woman who is following up the tradition, and a woman who's making shea butter also is providing her family, either in food when they cook themselves, or when she can sell it, it brings income. So it is. And I have in the Netherlands an history in politics. I've been active in gender equality in national politics in the Netherlands. So it makes sense for many different reasons, to do this. And you know, it takes even longer, and I've only shared half of the reasons now than the moment that I took that we took that decision. Let's work on this, because basically what we are trying to do is to bring things forward in a practical way, with where we are here and now. And we started with nothing, and I started with this idea of this program, because it didn't serve the community there, started looking at what does help the community, and if we want, my idea was also, if I want to come with this program, the receiving entity, the community here, must not only benefit from it, it must also have some stability as a container to receive the people, and that because to Fatima. So we just started, like, okay, women know how to make shea butter, let's take step one. And then what is step one? Because we started with nothing, was let's see if we can find international traders who want to buy the shea butter that the women are making. And from there we found international traders, and the women are producing for international trade, and then still we saw it's not good enough. So we took step two. We organize the women better. We make sure that they have a facility, because the women make shea butter from home, and so we built them a shea butter production center. Hey, Seth, come on. So that was step two, and then still it was not good enough, because even with the center, their position in the international trading, in the international markets of shea butter trading or shea trading, was still very weak. And then we took the third step. Let's set up a trading company ourselves to change things, the rules of the game in international trading. And it is really step by step by step by step. And we have been designing, well, not with with an idea where we want to end, with an idea where we want to go, but not with a scheme like we have and we must organize it like this way and we do first this. We have a plan and we have a strategy and we have a directionality, but it's not a blueprint that we have to follow like building a Lego something. So we are inventing and we are learning and we are growing. Because it is, in my fantasy, like a flower, or maybe like the tree, which is planted, growing, unfolding, and starting to grow fruits. Basically that is what we are doing. So from a program for Westerners to integrate sustainability in their projects, whatever their projects may be, we ended up doing a project with Shea Butter to create a sustainable supply chain in Shea Butter, which is based on healthy soil in Africa, healthy community in Africa, healthy people in Africa, and of course a healthy product, good quality product. So I don't think that is anything answering your question for where it started or how it started. It's a journey. It's a journey, and for me it is a journey that is out there. I want to realize something with our community and our team, or in Ghana everybody is family, so everybody is everybody's brother and sister, and often they are family of each other, and I like to speak of our team as a professional family, and there are, in my fantasy, a few things that we are exploring and discovering, and that basically is how do we live together as human beings who have different ideas, different mindsets, different realities, beyond conflict. And we can philosophize about it, or I can write a book about it, but that doesn't change the real thing, that it's also, and maybe even more important to me, it doesn't bring food on the table, it doesn't bring stability now, which is required now. So there's continuously the tension between the here and now and a plan for the future. There's a continuously tension between we are doing amazing work here with a team in Europe, awesome people, and making really good progress, and at the same time every moment, every day that we are not where we want to be now in producing Shea Butter or scaling up our next step, it is painful and it's a day too long. So there's this continuous pressure between progress and resistance, and resistance can be outside but also inside. So for me this is, it's easy to meditate on a cushion, or it's easy to read a book about spiritual practices or spiritual wisdoms. Proof of the pudding is the eating. What I do there on my meditation cushion, how do I bring that outside this house when I step out of the door? How do I bring that in this conversation, but also how do I bring that in a situation where we are working with traders who are squeezing off the women and not paying enough? But also how am I dealing with a situation that a woman is not being honest to us, because that also happens. It is not all only positive and all only good. There is this balance of, and I see the whole international trading doesn't make sense at all. And I can speak in general, but then it becomes an abstract conversation. No supply chain with Africa or Asia has stability at the base of the supply chain, in terms that we do not assure that people at the start of the supply chain earn enough money to sustain their families, and we do not take good enough care for the area for which we extract resources and the damage we do by extracting the resources. No supply chain does that in a proper way, which now we use beautiful words like regeneratives. And I see on paper the words change, and I see on paper the scores on the SDGs, we are doing well, but I also see my extended family in Africa still not having food on the table. And those two things do not match up. And I can make a choice. I can either become Don Quixote and fight the windmills, the evil people and the evil system and the evil and all them and they need to change. But A, that is much stronger than I am. B, it is a negative energy, and C, I'm telling you what you must do. And who am I to tell you what you must do? So we chose to try to create something that is different. Try to create something that does solve these issues that are not solved in international trading or in developmental aid. Look how many billions are spent in developmental aid. I was in Ghana sitting with the regional director from government, basically the government official who is responsible for this district. And I asked him, with all this developmental aid, have we solved poverty now? Yeah, no, the only thing that people can do is laugh. So basically what we are doing is by sensing, by looking, by engaging with each other, engaging with ourselves and engaging with the situation, to find something that is positive and that is not either or, but and. And we are far from there yet, but by doing things a little bit differently, or taking a little extra step, or asking one or two questions more, or for instance here we now set up an international trading company that's Netherlands based. The first priority of that company is to make sure that the payments in Ghana are decent. And that's how we developed our business model. And then we found out, like, and we only, you can make that on paper and then it's theory, but we were doing things. The women already were making shea butter. We were helping them to organize themselves so that they could have access to the international market, and we helped them to organize themselves for the international markets. They gained experience, they gained reputation, and we take one step at a time. And we call that gradually moving forward in a positive manner, one step at a time. And that's also the name of the trading company. The trading company is called Tuntibu, and Tuntibu is the local word for gradually moving forward in a positive manner. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, it's one magical journey, and for me, it's not easy. There are a lot of things I can complain about still. It is challenging on all levels in my personal life, and yet it gives me so much gratitude. I am so grateful that I give myself, or am given the opportunity to at least try to do this.
Thank you.
And then finding somebody like Umar, and our friendship has grown and evolved over years, and that has been a whole process for where we are now as brothers, and we are so close and we speak as one.
Yeah.
We don't, in Africa, we don't take any decisions separately. We do everything together. We share everything we have, and that's basically the basis for success. And then seeing other people step in, you know, we started with the two of us, and now we have maybe 30, 40 people in Ghana who occasionally help us. There are hundreds of people benefiting from what we are doing. What is even more inspiring, there are thousands of people speaking about us, about what we are doing, because we are in a small village of 5,000 people working with 1,000 women making shea butter, only starting with 250 working in the center. It has impact in the whole area. About 35, 40,000 people see what we are doing. They see that it's different and they speak of us. So we are a star in a dark night, and that is what I really like and enjoy that star is growing. It's a young star that is growing into maturity, and then also people here stepping in. And if I look now, like, the only thing or the main thing that I try to do is not to get into the way of the professionals who are doing such amazing work here in our team. I do look at the change dynamics of what we have started together, not knowing what will happen. But you know, basically, in the end, if you drop a stone in the water or a drip in the water, then you see these circles coming and going, and then they are expanding. Now I'm that stone, or I'm that drip, and now we are creating circles that are growing. And you know, in my fantasy, I would be happy and grateful if we can organize it in such a way that the people who are working on it now can live of it, and that means the people in Africa, but also the people in our team here. And the way that we are working together, the way that we organize ourselves is fun. I wanted to say fun, but you know what it is? Everybody who is there for a personal motivation, like you are sitting here now, and that is the energy of creation, and that is the energy of being. I don't know. Yeah, so you know, this is one big experiment, question, journey, and an unfolding new reality. And it's unfolding not on paper, not in theory, it's unfolding in real, tangible things. A picture of a chocolate I cannot eat, but a piece of chocolate I can eat. A picture of you I can look at, but if I touch you, that is different. And this is where we are working in the reality beyond the digital one. Let's say it like that. And then I go back to it's so about basic things. It's so about basic things. What does it mean to be human? How can we live together as a society? I like the Dutch word for society is samenleving, and basically, in translated in English, it's living together. What does it mean to be living together, and how do we organize ourselves, and why do we organize ourselves in such a way, and what do we do when tensions arise, and those kind of things. And I don't think we are doing a good thing if I look around in general. I think we can do much better, and I have that much love and trust for the humankind that we can. We have so much more potential, but at the same time a lot is not used, and a lot is blocked somehow. And what is then blocking? And then we come back to me. This is my thinking maybe is blocking, or and there's always an excuse not to do something. Yeah, right. I don't know. I'm going to pour us another cup of tea.
Oh yes, 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 please.
Yeah, and you know, for me, this is the ultimate situation, because everything is so real. To work on my personal question: who am I, and what does it mean to be born in this body and in these times? It also helps me to learn and explore what do we have in common, and how do we organize ourselves in a positive way to live in sync with nature and with each other. You know, conflict will always be there, but conflicts get out of hand for some reason, and then they cannot be resolved anymore. So how can we live with conflict without pushing it away or wanting to eliminate it, because it's part of life and it's also good. If there's no tension, there's no life, there's no growth. Or we made fire by cracking 2 stones. And on a change management. Well, and then there is what we are doing now, and this is 10 years of my life, and it feels like we are now at the starting point to begin to do the real things. And it's, you know, it's simple and it's practical. And yet it is so complex because we make things complex. But the simple thing is, women in Africa make shea butter. They know how to do it. They want to do it. The community supports them. The men, the husbands, and the leaders, they support the women. They have a big facility where they can make high quality professional, it's impressive, let's say it like that. So that's one thing that is there. We export and sell the shea butter in a way that both the women and the communities get at least enough money that is according to the poverty standards, the minimum that they need, and more for small investments in the local community. And the way that we organize the trading company is quite unique, but it's possible. So we are making shea butter, we are exporting shea butter, and we are selling it for a price that we can do all the things that we want to do. Pay the women in Africa a decent fee for which they can live, to create stability there, and generate money to reinvest in more stability for the community as a whole. And there's a whole program that the community wants to unroll, and there are simple steps that we are taking towards it. And the big dream is, you know, everybody there is a small-scale farmer. So most people live off a small plot of land that they have for farming, but they all use chemicals. So they all use chemicals that are prohibited here, and that's of course no good for. And they know it's no good, but they cannot get out. So the dream is we want to make the region chemical-free, and that is also what we are going to do, and one step at a time. When we make shea butter, that it's a process that also has waste. The waste we can use to make organic fertilizer. So a logical next step is we want a facility, as a community in Ghana, we want a facility to make our own organic fertilizers, because then we can make our own organic fertilizers instead of buying the chemical ones. Those simple, and with simple practical things, we made a huge progress. But the simple practical things become complex because of the way that we have organized how we do business, and the way that we have organized how we do developmental aid. And instead of putting away the way that we have organized it to do something else that is alternate, it is hard to find an alternative, to find connection with how things are done now, and the way that as a pioneer, everybody wants to be the second or the third one, but when you are pioneering like us, to be honest, sometimes it's frustrating me that something that is so logical and makes so much sense. A child of 4, if I share what we are doing, it makes sense. And nobody has ever said disagreed with me when I say you cannot speak of sustainable trading or a sustainable business model or sustainable supply chain if you do not start by paying above poverty rate wages at the start of your supply chain. You cannot speak of sustainability if you are only extracting and not returning, or if you are extracting in such a way that you are polluting the environment or the earth. So that is the starting point. And I've never met somebody who says that is not true. And yet to organize it is, well, 10 years preparation, and we are maybe now there to start. That's also not true because we are already doing it. It's scaling up, which is now the next point. And what I see, to my frustration, the problems, the blockings are here. The blocking is the mindset of the dominant patterns in how we do international business, in how we spend our money, in how we invest our money. The mindset that is there is blocking, and because, or limited, let's say it like that, the mindset is limited, and because we have developed from a limited mindset, we have problems in the blind spots of the model, and we haven't organized ourselves in such a way that we are sustainable, or we are in sync with nature. To make a long story short, if we want to become sustainable in our businesses, if we want to have business more in alignment with nature, we must change the nature of business. And that is not what we are doing. Or not enough. And that is what we, as a small group of people, as an alliance between a village in Ghana, a group of women in Ghana, and a group of people here in Europe, organized in a foundation and a trading company, try to organize together. How do we do it, at least for shea butter? And if we can do it with shea butter, we can do it with shea butter because we have developed everything on experience and not on a fantasy story, but we have been doing it, and from there learning and experiencing, and we see it's possible. We've been taking the next step, we've been taking the next step, and the next step, and our next step is to scale up the business, what we are doing, and to scale up our storytelling so others can learn from what we are doing to apply in their own situation. So we sell shea butter. We learned a lot from how to organize our business in such a way that it may be sustainable and regenerative. At least it is more than what is there now. Others can apply that in their context. What we do with shea butter, you can also do with tea, with coffee, with any product, clothing. And that's also one thing that we want to share our learning. And yet at the same time, we are only with maybe 3-4 people in Ghana who are really carrying it, and only with 7-8 people here in Europe who are carrying it. So it's few people doing a lot of work, a huge ambition, and making progress every day. But I've been talking too much and too long.
You saw how I interact with you. I just don't move. I was so absorbed in listening to what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't move at all. I was so absorbed. Thank you for sharing your story.
Well, thank you for so much openness to listen. You know, I am really curious about your impulse.
My impulse.
Well, it is your initiative that we are here now.
My impulse.
What is important to you, and what makes my story or our story resonate so much with you? You have your ideas. You are doing what you are doing is also really interesting. Your idea of people sharing their home place as an office space.
Yes.
It is, you know, in my fantasy, it resonates so much with my fantasy of how I want our community in Africa to return to again,
yes.
Living as a community.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I see so much resonance. There's a lot of resonance, and that is funny and nice and inviting you know, I'm an antique. I'm over 50, and I'm not good with digital, and we are so different, and yet we are not, and that's so intriguing. It is the space of recognition and the space of meeting in my fantasy that brings us together. despite that we are so different, and this is only the second time that we really see it and meet each other. And the two conversations, at least in my experience, that we have had are real conversations. We are really in a space that we meet each other.
Your question about what caused my impulse? Why do I feel?
It's the same thing. I don't understand why I'm doing what ground. I don't understand why I'm here with you. It just felt the right thing to do. Like the body just knows. I trust the body, you know. I just trust the intuition. I don't control so much, and I just let the body do what it does. So if the body just decides to cycle and go to Alain's house, then yeah, so be it. And I don't understand why, right? The conscious mind thinks things in one at a time. But then there's something very infinite and something very intelligent in the body, and I just let it be. And it just so happened that the body just decides to come here. And to use the conscious mind to explain it, it's not going to work. Therefore, I don't know. So, I don't know.
Okay, nice. And how is that? Because you also have to make choices. If you are here, there's something. You are here. That's what I noticed. So that's really like. Some people are here, but then they are not here. You know, and they are with the previous meeting, or they are thinking of what they're going to have for dinner this evening and stuff. So that's already strange, actually.
The decision is made by the body, so the conscious mind doesn't even go through it. There are a lot of things that just happens automatically if you just let it go. Trust intuition. It will do the calculation all by itself. Like I end up at Tammy's house for breakfast, and just so happened I know when to leave to get to your house. It's all meant to be. I don't plan for it. I don't know how to describe it. So there are a lot of things that I just cannot explain. Now people keep asking me why, how did you have this, and why did you do this? And sometimes I just don't know, because it's the body making the decision.
So but then you must be very aware of your body. You know, me for instance, for a long time I still occasionally forget that I have a body.
That's good, because I've been taking a lot of drone shots, you know, drone videos, and every time I see a drone shot and you see a human down there or a tree from an angle, you can really see that the human could be just an ant, you know, just like how you see an ant's nest and you see an ant and an ant's nest. So you can see the whole buildings is all just an ant. In that sense, there will be a momentarily feeling that you get over the bubble of being a human, right? So you see that, oh, that car is actually just an ant, could be an ant or a caterpillar, you know? If I had that feeling of what it means to get over the bubble of being human, and I start to think about myself, I felt like I was able to. Okay, the sensation of getting over being a human, the bubble of being human, is that I feel very strange. Like, how do I have a hand here? How do I have legs? Why is it that I have a penis? Why is it that I have a desire to have sex with a girl? Oh, why is it? And to have that sensitivity, when you reach that point, it's like you are aware of your awareness. You have thoughts over your thoughts, so that every feelings that you feel, you can really see. You know, you can see through everything. Just like when sometimes I'm anxious. Wow, I felt the anxious, and I know why I felt anxious. It's like so deep, very sensitive. So that's what happened to me.
And is that something that you have natural? You know, this resonates so much. What you were saying, it's like I hear myself saying. For me, there's been a lot of unlearning and a lot of practice, and still. How is that for you? Because it seems so much more. Well, no, just stick with my question. How is that for you?
How is that for me? What?
Yeah, these questions, asking these questions about myself. I've been asking them for a long time, and I also have parked them for a long time.
Oh, okay, yeah, so, yeah. Okay.
Does it come natural to you, the insights, or do you do a practice, or do you need to work for it? Do you need to give it attention?
Okay, so let me explain the story. All right. It helps to understand marijuana, weed. Okay. When I moved to the Netherlands, I use weed only like once every 3 months, and I use it mainly for pleasure. So I indulge on entertainment, on sex, or on food. Never really use it properly. When my ex-girlfriend, Tasmin, came into my life, and we were both in Australia, she smokes weed, but the difference is that when we smoke weed, she introduced me to dancing. So I'm a very self-conscious person. I don't like to dance. I'm very stiff, you know, I'm very self-conscious. But she teach me how to dance when we're high. So I start to move my body a little bit.
I saw you dancing.
I start to feel a little bit more comfortable in my body. And then there was one particular evening where we smoke weed, we dance, and then I have a space for myself. And I just be calm, you know, I just don't talk and just sit down. And then I started to think about my past, my childhood memories. For that moment, I was able to recall vividly how my childhood memories were like at a specific point. So I was playing a toy, and I was able to see the toy so vividly. When I turn right, I can see my dad coming home from work. And when I look here, I can see my mom. I can recall details so vividly that I felt like I was there. So what I'm trying to say is that moment, it made me feel like, wow, how can I just unlock this supernatural experience that I had when I was high? And that was the moment that I got really curious about experimenting with weed. And when I left Australia and I went back to the Netherlands, I had the space for myself, so I'm no longer with my girlfriend. So having a space for myself meant that I had more space to experiment. So I started to smoke weed, and I started to introspect. So I meditated, and I saw, and the insights keep coming. I realized, wow, what the heck is going on? A lot of creativity, energy is coming in. The more I let go, so I realized the more I let go, the more things will come to me. So I continue with this, and I'm also a very, I document a lot of things, so I write down a lot of my thoughts down, and I talk to myself, you know, so it's a habit. And on March the 6th, today is the March of the 6th, so a year ago, exactly a year ago, I was watching a video on YouTube of a Buddhist scholar talking about Buddhism. It was 2 hours long, and I was high, and halfway through he said something. The moment he said that, I don't know what he said, but there was a moment where that feeling of someone strangling you on your neck, and then you release that stranglement, and then you breathe out. You breathe out. And the body feels like that, you know. I felt that momentarily, and then suddenly the thought that just came in, Ming, I can't believe you've been thinking and seeing reality in this way for the last 29 years of your life. Wow. Wow. And then the second thought was like, I can't believe you've been ignorant, so you have not realized this. So that was March the 6th, 2021. Today is March the 6th, 2022. So it's a crazy coincidence that I'm sharing this story with you. It's a crazy coincidence. I'm just 1 year old, because once that happened, everything is new. All the experience is new, like a child. You know, like I've never seen my mom before because I've not been to Malaysia yet. I have not. I've not been to the Netherlands because I've not experienced the Netherlands. So everything is brand new. So ever since then, the approach on life is different because you see reality in a different way. You don't just see it as a plant. I can't explain it, but really, you don't just see it as a plant. Yeah, it's different. So the impact is that I became a lot more creative. So a lot of ideas came in, and I realized there's no need to hold on to a lot of things. And the more I do it, the more surprises come. So the one of the things that can really make you realize how you're in the now is that when you receive surprises. Because when you're in the now, you don't plan for the future, so you get surprises. And every time the surprises come, it just you know, meeting you is a surprise. Meeting Tammy is also a surprise. I met so many cool people, very nice people. So that was the turning point for me. Every day I'm having fun, because when you're in the now, it's all about fun. I realized that the life is all about fun. It's nothing serious. It's really nothing serious, and I discovered it. And I do things unusual. I do unusual things. I go out at 4 a.m. with my bike, with my headphones, with my iPad, with my camera, with my drone, and I just go in the dark and I make friends with animals. I do unusual things. And the more I do unusual things, also I go to the bar by myself, I listen to music, I dance in the bar by myself, and I observe people. The more unusual things that I do, the more I can see through the bubble that everyone is in.
And I'm intrigued by, you know, the fun part. I can learn a lot of that. Because what I notice is that with me, I can also feel a lot of sadness. So I have fun when I'm in Africa and I see things really happening. I have fun here when I see. For me, to go to the fun and to see every moment here as fun, that's difficult for me. For me, there's also being in here and now is also suffering, for me at least. So I want to learn to suffer less and to have more fun.
So attachment equals suffering. So the fact that you feel so sometimes sadness is also, you can feel sadness in the now, but it only becomes suffering if the sadness is a result of an attachment. So there's no doubt you have attachment. That's what it is. I don't know why it is, but there's attachment.
Yeah.
So
I'm full of attachments. Well, let me close the door first.
So the deepest fear for humans is the fear of death. When I'm in this state, it's very natural to say I'm ready to die right now. I'm ready to die right now. If you understand and you can actually murmur those words as if it's real coming from you, that's when you're really out from all attachment. But it's hard for people, and I don't have a method for it. So a good way is to start from maybe not death, but something lighter. So let's say if you're worried about being cheated or scammed, then you have to try to understand what it means to I'm ready to be poor. Yeah, I'm ready to be poor. I'm ready to be disabled.
And so, so it is so recognizable what you say, and when you say it, I notice that I'm full of attachments, and it's so true for me, at least what you are saying, and I can give 1,000 of examples. That prove how attached I am myself.
The things there's a lot of things I don't know. So like, what does it mean for someone who has attachment for a long time? So let's say you're a father and you have a son, and you have a son already for 5 years, and then you're awakened, but you still have the burden of having a son. So. So I don't know. Your situation is different from mine. Because when I sign ClickUp, I have little to no obligation at all. So I start fresh. And because I'm really in a state where I have no desire to have a lot of attachment. So I don't accumulate attachment. But you accumulate a lot of attachment, and when it's so big, it's hard to let them go.
What I really like when you speak now is how your face opens up. It's really poof open. Your eyes go bigger. I love to see that. You know, with me, the heaviness comes in. And I notice that I do not want to push it away. I also do not want to embrace it. But the heaviness is difficult for me. And I see you have this lightness from which I can learn, and I have that lightness as well. It's also there. And you know, there's also the heaviness that we are not there in a situation that I think that I want us to be in, and that I think that should be normal. For me, really, it's a lesson to keep things light, though they are very, very serious issues and matters that we are working on.
Yeah, to keep things light, which means that you don't take it seriously. It's fun. It's very hard for people to understand what it means. That life is fun, because when you understand this completely, when you're having fun, you don't take things seriously. You know that life is a game, and when you approach a game as fun rather than serious, it's a different thing. If you approach a game with seriousness, obviously you're going to be very sensitive if something goes wrong. But rather than when you're having fun, you know, when you play board games and it's fun, it's like relax, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm just having fun, man. Nothing serious. That's the difference.
And then how to combine that with
So you think that by having fun, you will not be disciplined enough to execute something?
No,
that's not true, because you have to trust the body again. So the body will also be disciplined and it knows what to do. So it's not like when you see the word as fun, you're gonna go chaos and cause chaos everything, you know, like, because it doesn't matter, you know, like if it doesn't matter, oh, I'm just gonna kill someone and that's it. No.
It's fun because I learned how it feels to kill somebody.
So yeah, there's a middle way. And you have to trust the body. So you have the question, oh, how do I combine? Okay, as if you feel like if you really just let go and feel like the word is fun, you might lose something, like you will lose control. No, the body will manage it. You just have to let go and see it yourself. It's like jumping off a cliff, but then, yeah, I don't know. It's something that's a leap of faith. Just like Buddha, right? He took a leap of faith and he doesn't know where he's gonna go. He's and because he's the ultimate where he doesn't care and ready to die, like hunger, and that's because of that he was able to see. But all of us have the attachment that we see the darkness, but we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. So take the wisdom from and the courage of Buddha, who has done it. Trust your body. I don't know. I don't have a method.
No,
it's different.
I'm not asking for a method. I'm asking for a meetup. That's beauty.
Yeah. Sometimes things cannot be described in words. Sometimes words limit our thoughts. just like in English language. There's always a action person to do an action, but that's confusing. You don't need a person to just like
you know, I recognize the fun, and for me it is really difficult to balance the heaviness and the fun part. And I noticed that when I'm here in the Netherlands, I'm much more in the heaviness. So
I see.
Being here is mentally quite challenging for me.
I think if you're surrounded by people who cannot who are serious about life, then it will drag you down. Yeah, it's like how you're surrounded by people who are bad intention, it will drag you down. So even though if you're fun,
well, you know, we are serious with setting up the business, and we are engaging with large companies,
yes.
because we want. It is not about selling a kilo of shea butter to help one woman. We want to sell thousands of kilos to help thousands of women.
Yes.
So that is the we are in the ball game of the big corporate players, and that is the field where we are operating now with the trading company.
You just gave me the realization, indeed. So if you're dealing with large corporations, which are many serious people, they might not understand your point of view, and that is
frustrating.
That's right. So indeed, yes, I think that's the difference. Yeah, you're in a situation where you have no choice but to deal with very serious people who have very narrow vision in their consciousness, and they will not understand you. And
and you know, to give one concrete example, we have a finance need for our trading company to scale up. So we have processed and we want to increase our production, and we need money to buy our materials for production and to pay the women. And our investment need is relative. One would say it's a lot, for now it's little. But to put it in perspective, our investment need is maybe a small percentage of what a lot of companies in the industry are spending on marketing to cover up that they are not doing the right thing, paying, and etc. So no, but actually laughing about it is the only thing you can do. But you know, the stories that are told here, the stories that are told here is that because of what they are doing with a lot of cosmetic companies and a lot of the middle, they copy the stories told to them by the middlemen traders. But the stories are like, because of what we do with the shea butter, with our shea butter, a woman in Africa can bring her child to school, etc., etc., etc. I know what the women are paid, and I know that it is 1/4, the best paid women earn 1/4 of what is the annual poverty rate. And you can't bring children to school for that. So, but go back to the point is that, so my frustration is there that companies spend a lot of money on marketing budgets to do hardcore greenwashing, and that they are plain simple lies, or not really truths. Where if they would spend 1% of that investing in us, they could change it. And my frustration is that is not yet happening, though I even understand we are changing the rules of a game, of a system that became this powerful because the rules of the game that are there now. And of course, every system or living organism has its first priority is survive. So I understand it from a change management perspective. What frustrates me is that I or we haven't found yet basically the money that we need to take our next step, and time is now running out on us. But the frustration is there's so much money wasted you know, there's so much money that wasted in marketing to to cover up that they are not doing the right thing. Where if you spend 5% of that budget on us, you have a story about how you are doing this thing. The frustration is that all the yes buts.
Maybe you're targeting the wrong audience.
Yeah, but yes, maybe we are, and at the same time, you must engage with the system that is there if you want to change it, or we must engage with it for us to be successful. The volumes that we are selling, or producing and selling, it is too much to do it in crowd, or to do it. You have to work with the players who are there. And we're doing a pretty good job so far.
So something in between. A private investor who is neither a corporate, neither a crowd. A person who is like you, who understands your energy deep. It's not about the money. Yeah, it's not about the money. Those are the target audience. Those ones.
Exactly, and of course the money matters, and it is an investment, and then people want to return on investment, but of course what people are buying in is the potential of the change,
yes,
the potential of the trend, really the transformation, that yes, we are still burning trees for firewood to make the shea butter, but the way that we are earning the money, we can invest in the machine to reuse our waste and make firewood out of it, so that we burn less trees. You know, we are really trying to change the whole system around and turn it around. And it's not about money. And yet it is. You know, we've come this far without money, and we've come this far without paying anybody, except the women, money for their work.
Thank you for this.
Yeah. And yet, I'm living in poverty here, and yet living in poverty here is relative, because I have a beautiful house.
Chocolate.
I haven't had one day that I couldn't eat, and a lot of people in the village I know have problems that they maybe have not eaten for 2 or 3 days. So it's also relative.
You're such a humble human.
I'm not. I'm an arrogant bastard with a large ego.
You're too close for inspection.
Sorry?
So, we are too close for inspection. So when you say I'm a bastard ego, it is not always true, because you're too close for inspection. It's very hard to inspect yourself. It's like seeing your eye with your eyes. So you don't know. You allow me to make an observation, and I tell you you're humble. I feel it, and I see it. You're not too close for inspection for me, because I see it.
Thank you.
But you are too close to inspection for yourself.
You know, that is what I learned from the people in Africa. Because it is a big compliment that you are saying that, because I haven't considered myself as humble. But I think, you know, these last 10 years, I have grown as a practitioner in meditation, reflecting on what I'm 10 years of acting and reflecting in this context, maybe has made me a little bit more humble. And that is because of the things that frustrate me, or because of the beauty of you know, it's interesting, the theme came up this morning. What connects Umar and me is, and we started it as two of us, so that's the seed energy somehow. What connects us and when we find each other is that we both have a serious spiritual practice. He is Muslim, and he prays 5 times a day, and he is a serious practitioner. But the prayer is not the practice. The practice is that he tries to live a life in service. And so do I, in a different way. And basically I learned a lot from him, living a life in service. To give a small example, no, I'm not giving an example. And this morning it came up, and we also had a conversation. Like, let's go back then to the relationship with God, for instance. When people pray to their gods, they often ask their God to be a servant of them, giving them something that they need or want. Please God, give me this. Please God, help me here, help me there. What maybe I learn to do, and Umar and I learn to do, and we also have been speaking like, how come that we found each other, or why are people also in Ghana also trying to make abuse of who we are and of our kindness and those kind of things. What came up this morning was when people pray to their gods, they often ask their gods to be their servants, and basically what Umar and I try to do is to ask to guide us in being a servant. And that is maybe where the humbleness comes from. We are not in control. I'm not in control, and I'm part of something that is much larger and much more complex than I am, and I don't like the word God. I prefer to call the word life, and life is a complex, ever-evolving, moving, I don't know what kind of ish, is this strong desire to be in service of life.
For that, you probably understood what it means to have compassion for all beings.
Yeah.
What Buddha said. Because it's a very deep thing, and in order to understand compassion, it seems to me like to swap that mindset from God, give me something, as if something has to service me, to you being service to everything else. It's like,
and still I'm asking for kindness, still I'm asking for guidance, and still I'm asking for support, and it is not supporting me, you know, a monkey me. Also in what I do, I know that I am important as initiator together with Umar and all this what we are doing. At the same time, it is not about me. And what we are doing has far outgrown me. And already that is something that is so beautiful, that a me is becoming a we. And at the same time it's also really scary, because I'm not in control.
And then when you're not in control, it's easy to let go. It becomes a we it becomes easy to let go. So you can think that, oh, this might go on even though you die. If you can have that thought that, okay, this movement is going to go on even though when I die. But then if you have the thought that, oh, I at least must see that all the woman has to have $900 US a month before I die, then you're going to be stressed. Yeah. So I can see there's a step closer from you to me, and then something even bigger, where you can even be accepting the fact that this will go on even though you die. Then you can relax, you know? Relax.
And there is resistance. So there is it's really interesting because deep inside there is this ultimate stillness and there's this ultimate trust. I have no idea what I'm doing, I have no idea where I'm going, I have no idea how my life looks like next month, all full of uncertainties and a lot of things that I have hold on to have certainty, like when you walk on the stairs, you have the handle to find support, is falling down again on me. And on the one hand that's liberating and positive, and at the same time it's also scary. So I noticed that I'm the one who's biased, you know. I am free and at the same time I am not. I am full of confidence of how right and not right in how right it is that I'm doing the things that I'm doing and that I'm in this situation that I'm in now and that we are sitting here. It makes sense, but not in a cognitive way. It is apparently what life is asking or giving, and at the same time I'm struggling with, on the one hand, accepting and really stepping in life as it is and in the lightness of, and at the same time I find that difficult. I don't know.
You find it difficult. You find it difficult to accept something. Therefore, it translates into frustration and anxiety, and then you lose yourself into the future and the past, and it's not a very pleasant feeling.
Yeah. I have difficult accepting the situation as it is because I have difficulties in seeing the situation as it is. I have a perception of the situation.
Yeah, so you see that plant, even though it is dying, you refuse to see that plant is dying. You prefer to see the plant is still living. And you don't want to accept that the plant is dying.
For instance?
Yeah, because you want to have the attachment that the plant is living. Yeah. You want the community to be in this way, but it is not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see a lot of patterns. I see a lot of patterns.
Understood. What happens if you just accept it? What happens? What if you just give it a go and just see the plant that it is actually dying and just accept it? How does it feel? Or do you never want to step there because you're afraid once you step there, there's no turning back?
Yeah, but what does it mean to?
Have you ever stepped one step forward, or are you always bending over and looking? Have you put one step forward, or do you just look around?
Maybe I'm just asking questions now. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm now looking for an answer in the wrong way. You know, it is the yin and yang, and in the yang there's always yin, and in the yin there's always yang. We spoke of it, you were the one who brought it in our previous conversation, and that's so beautiful, how they are so connected with each other. Like we do not only breathe out, we breathe in and we breathe out. We have two legs, most of us, and we have the capability to use both. And we have preferences with our hands. Some people write left-handed, some people write right-handed. Or with soccer, some people kick the ball with the left leg and the others with the right leg. But we can learn to use both. And for me, that's also with heaviness and lightness, or with light and darkness.
Yes, indeed. There's black goes. Front and back of the coin go with each other. The foreground and the background go with each other. It's only if you forget about the foreground as you look in the background. So, for example, a lot of people, they just forget about the space around where we are. It's only when you focus on one thing, then you see reality in not the full picture. Which means if you have a down, you also must know that the down goes with the up. But then if you're always in the down, for example, if you always try to eliminate the down,
My tendency is the other way around. I think there is too much naiveness, there's too much positivity in how we are solving the problems in climate change, how we are solving the problems in Africa. If you believe everything, all the problems are solved. You can fly CO2 neutral with KLM. Shell is the leader of our sustainable energy, etc., etc. So there's a lot, and I have the tendency then to bring in heaviness, but it's also difficult for me to find the lightness. You know, we buried 16 people in the last 3 months, who all died in the end because they cannot pay for medicine that can heal them. And that's paining me, and that's making me angry, and it's making me sad, and it makes me strong, because it makes me more willing to battle and struggle for my community, and I feel then like David, who is up against Goliath, and also that makes sense and is a fantasy in my head, because David is my tribal father. I'm from the Jewish tribe of David. He's my ancestor. But let's go back to the. Sorry.
Maybe your frustration is part of the process.
Yes, it is.
So be it.
Uh-huh.
So it is part of you to be frustrated, and maybe it is. That's where it is. You need to have the frustration in order to get there.
And you know, for me also, my anger. You know, now I was thinking of the Hindu tradition. I so much like Kali. I have a strong relationship with Kali. And people fear Kali because she is vicious and she is, and people call her the destroyer. But basically Kali is the creator. So what I try to do is my anger, my Kali energy, it is also fuel for the positive that we are doing. I can use my anger to fight against the evil ones, and then I go to dance square, or I I blame others, or I can use my anger to, and we are going to organize it differently.
That's beautiful. So we came to the realization that your frustration is actually part of the process.
Yes.
It's part of it. So you are who you are,
and it's
wonderful. So there's no conflict.
Yeah.
What the heck? What the heck is this? It's wonderful. It's beautiful. We realize this. Your frustration is part of the process.
Yeah, and well, you know, conflict is only there because I created in my mind. That's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah, so the yin and yang, so your frustration is part of the process, and it seems like you're channeling the energy to bring good. So it's a balance. Yeah. So I don't see any conflict at all. You are superhuman now, because if you understand this, yes, or if you believe that that frustration is just part of the process, then it becomes like Kali, it's like a destroyer, but then it creates new things with the energy. So that's it. That's how I see it. Now I understand.
Yeah, thank you. Your remark literally brings lightness. I feel.
Freaking Kali.
No.
Or even Shiva. Yeah.
Dancing Shiva. Yeah. Oh, you know, that is. What is interesting is destruction and creation go hand in hand, or destruction or creation. I like the seasons. For instance, a tree in the season, in fall, the leaves fall off. It's the ending of a season, and ending of a cycling, and the start of a new cycling. And so the trees need to fall, the leaves need to fall off for the tree to grow new ones. The fruit needs to fall for the tree to grow new ones. So that is also a non-duality. There is no either or, and it is not destruction and creation. It's all creation, and that is really, really interesting and fascinating and fun. And to look at it in that perspective, there is always this cycle. It is not an either or creation, it is an and cycle. So and things oh yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. You know what is what is really intriguing me and also maybe paining me, but maybe that is more what is intriguing me, let's stay there, is in nature you see that a lion takes the life of a deer to feed herself, himself, and the family. At the same time, in nature you see no species destroy, to use that word, more than they need for survival. The only species that is doing that is human beings.
Yeah.
And that is paining me, and that is puzzling me.
That's because separation, the illusion of the separation. You don't see a tiger being hypnotized because they rely on intuition. We just so happen that we have the ability to have thoughts of thoughts and a consciousness, which then gave us the illusion of the separation. I cannot explain why we have this tendency to have this illusion of the separation. Maybe it has to do with survival instinct, evolution happened. But this illusion of separation is what is compelling us that everything else outside us is something that we should confront, we should control. Because when we control, then we feel at peace, you know? That's why we destroy. That's why we want to control. It's that illusion of separation starts from there.
But it doesn't work. And
yeah, it doesn't work.
And it has become so normal.
Yes, because it spreads in the culture. You know, if you're born in a culture where the illusion of separation starts from a very young age, then wow. So if a culture grows and just so happen that technological society is born, it's evolved from a society which is anxious and always wants to control, right? So that's when they invent all these technologies. And so happened that a technological society makes people comfortable and it's easy to spread. So when this sort of mindset spreads around the world, which happens now, that's why it becomes like a global thing. There's only a few cultures that are still embracing the non-technological mindset, which like Bhutan, Nepal, whatever, India, you know. But there's a tendency for a technological society who thinks this way to easily spread. And we so happen to be living in this world because technology brings us comfort. So that's the way it is, that's reality it is. And there's no point questioning why does it happen, but that's the reality, that's the way it is. And all you need to do is just know why it happened.
You know, technology is an interesting one. Another one is food, for instance.
Yes.
The way we grow food and the way we divide food. You know, with the foods that we in the global northern hemisphere, basically Europe and the US, are throwing away in our bin, is enough to feed everybody in the southern hemisphere who doesn't have enough. And one of our statements is there is enough for everybody, but not everybody has enough. That's one of the things, the dynamics that we want to change. The world, and let's stick with food. There's enough food to feed all mouths in the world, but not every mouth in the world has enough food to feed. So, in other words, there's no reason why somebody on this planet should die or even go to bed with an empty stomach. We organized it that way, but there's no need to. And we can change it. But are we really doing that?
No, because it just so happened that we have a system where we reward people who are good in one thing, which is to make more profit. Basically, we reward people who are sleeping. And people who are sleeping have a narrow consciousness, which is only one thing. It's all about themselves. The people who are best in controlling the environment will be highly regarded in this society. Yeah, and because they are rewarded, they have more power, and therefore they control, and because they have only a narrow mindset, they don't see it. You know, they don't feel the hunger of the people in Africa.
What is paining me is how difficult it is to have even a constructive conversation about this.
When you're sleeping, obviously I'm sleeping, whatever you said to me doesn't make any sense. So this is the reality we're living in. The people who control all this stuff, they have built a system, like a very tall building. And in order to reach them, we have to climb, you know? That's the reality.
But I find that difficult.
Yes, it's difficult because it's so high. Yeah. So I understand what's going on, but I don't have a burning desire to change it. No, it's not like I have a burning desire to climb that tall building and meet that guy at the top. No.
I do, because I don't want to lose another 16 people in the next month.
Yeah, but then...
But that is attachment.
Yes. I truly believe that... I don't know. I really don't know. So you can make positive change without having that desire. Just like how I came up with ground and people have been telling me this is great for the communities. No, I don't think about so much about. So you can still make changes without having that desire. I have to meet that person at the top there and make the changes. Well, that's how I approach it. And when I think it's just a lot more efficient because you're not in your way. When I'm not thinking about the person at the top, I can continue, 100% just moving forward. So the fact that to think about that person doesn't really help me because it's getting my own way. I want to I want to keep looking up and then look up, and then pause. Just think about that for a moment. What you're doing is constantly looking backwards. And obviously a person will always look backwards. He's slower than a person who's always moving forward. That's what it is. You don't need to look backwards, man. It's not gonna... You're flowing in a river, man. River, flow of life. You don't need to look backwards. Just put your hands up and just swim with the river. You will end up further away than the people who are always looking backwards and try to swim. Because I am scared of what's in front of me. I don't know where they are, so I just want to swim.
What is? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. You bring a spark and a light in here for me. I have this lightness, I have this playfulness. Basically, the most interesting big leaps or progress we have made in this space of progress, of openness and from the unexpected. It is really interesting to see where something happens that is really painful and bringing us into problem. At a certain moment brings something that is more beautiful or even beautiful. But they are real things. We lost our food crops last season, and the food crops we lost is not only food that we cannot share with people, but it's also money that we need, that we cannot spend, that we lost. So our harvest was spoiled, we lost the food that we cannot give to other people, and we lost the money that we cannot use to pay bills. So that is painful. And then it's really difficult to stay light. and that is for me. There are so many, because I stepped into this field, I'm faced with so many of these issues that are new to me, because in the context that we are here, even if you are poor, you have more than a middle income person in the region in northern Ghana where we are. So it's also relative, but to really to keep that lightness. I do not want to become bitter, and I do not want to become more heavy than I am already now. And at the same time, this is a reality that I also cannot ignore. I cannot ignore it if we lose this food crops, the harvest, which was so important for us, not to lose it. And it's so painful not to lose it. Then it's difficult to stay light and to find that again. And there are so many of these things happening, and then in combination with people here then not wanting to hear it because they don't want to hear the negative stories, or they will want to have the pain that comes with it. That also feeds again the heaviness and the heaviness. And that is also one reason for me why my spiritual practice is so important, because without it I would probably fall and collapse from the heaviness that is on our shoulders.
Yes, I can feel it. You are you're carrying a lot of
and I'm a strong man, and I believe that we get what we can carry.
You have Uma. Two of you are, wow, at the end of the day you have Uma, you have a great friendship, you have a great friendship with me.
And an amazing team here, you know, the people here, none of them has ever been to Ghana, none of them has met Umar, none of them has seen the center in Ghana, which is there, and all based on my story about what is happening in Ghana. There are here 8 people who are committed with their hearts, doing such an amazing thing, and I consider every person in our team here more important than me, because if only one person falls out, we cannot do, or in the positive way, because other people who stepped in from their own internal motivation to step in and really took up the challenge and rolled up their sleeves and are doing something that they are good in, and the way that we are working together has brought us to where we are. And the things that are being done now and are needed now are things that I'm not skilled in, but other people are. And the fact that other people step in this circumstance and spend their evenings and the weekends and also during the normal working times and stuff, and spend so much time and energy and love and dedication in this project or this dream, that is so beautiful, and that is the greatest gift. The greatest gift is sharing that dream and creating it together, not sharing it in speech, but sharing it in collaborative actions. And the tears that I get in my eyes are tears of gratitude. And that is for me, gratitude is the most cleaning energy.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe also it's gratitude that keeps me up. It's gratitude that brings me forward.
Same here.
Yeah, 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 and that's beautiful.
You found the beauty of life. Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. Those frustration and heavy weight will not mean your gratitude. The feeling that you feel of our gratitude will not mean so deep if it's not because of the hardships that you experience. So they go together.
You know, I can be with my crazy thoughts, or I can be with my anger, or I can be with emotions that I do not like, or my grasping for emotions that I do like, because of the deepness. If I am overwhelmed, I go inside, and I find the space of gratitude, and I find the space of silence inside. That's why my meditation practice is important, but not important like it is basic hygiene, basically. It is like we put on clothes before we go out of the door, because if you go out naked, people will look strange at you. Or it's like, it's maintenance, basically. People go to the sport, to the gym, to have physical, and I think to have an introspective practice is equally important, maybe even more important.
So it's the mental gym, not the physical gym.
Yeah.
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 In Western society, it's all about there's not much culture here, there's not much study going on with the inside. In Western science, it's not appropriate for studying something like the consciousness. That's why I feel like most people in Western society are sleeping. That's why they're so good in destroying.
You know, I was surprised when my first visit to India. I was shocked in many different ways. But I was staying. It was my first few days in India. I was staying in front of the Mother Teresa Center, the hospital, and I was in shock to see that a country that has that huge spiritual wisdom and that huge spiritual richness, how hard it is for human beings and for human life. Because I saw literally people dying on the street and other people stepping over it like it was a garbage bag. That was my first contact with India. To see those kind of scenes, that was really a shock for me.
India is a culture. It's a country that has a lot of colors. There's so much contrast. There's the rich and poor. There's the dead and the alive. There's all sorts of richness in it, which is very relatively to Western society, which is very monotonic, very stable. So to immerse yourself in such an environment where there's all this contrast helps a person to be awakened, because just like you see black and white, and there are so many black and white you can see through, and that's the beauty of Indian culture. That's why Indian culture produces Hinduism and Buddhism. That's what I believe. I've not been to India, But I've talked to people who have been in India, and I understand the energy that they bring forth.
I love India.
Yeah, so everyone should go to India
Uh-huh.
because yeah, immerse yourself in that color of life, then you'll wake up over something, right? Just like how you saw.
I think in general, traveling, I've traveled a lot.
Yes.
And traveling is so educational.
Yes.
If you really travel,
Yes.
and you and I are probably travelers who are open. And then when you are open, things happen.
Yes.
And when you are open, you can meet people. And when you are open, and that is also, I think, one of the things that I find difficult here. It is really hard to do things spontaneous. A lot is in a program, and people have schedules. And if they have schedules, there's little space for life, basically. And then my fantasy, then it's the emptiness. Okay, you have a program, and you know what you are doing, because you know how to follow the schedule, but where is that spark? The joy of the unexpected, or the pleasure of I have all these small little exercises or little games that I play for myself. And one is, for instance, this morning when I made my breakfast, and then I was like, this is the first time in my life that I made breakfast. Because this moment that I'm here now is unique. So I'm doing this for the first time in my life. And I'm also doing it for the last time in my life, because I will never be doing this again.
It's like a kid. It's like a kid. Approach it like a kid, and everything is new. And then, yes.
And I like that. I like that a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So when I go out, this is the mindset I have. Everything's brand new.
I think that is where we meet. You have that very strongly.
It's fun. If you understand that, it's not just breakfast. You could be even going to the toilet. And then life is full of surprises.
But and you know, but it's so not bad. You know, I do these things to remember myself and to train myself, and apparently I need training because I forget, and because I do all these kind of crazy things, small habitual things become. That is how it changes. And if I look at myself, I also understand how difficult it is to change, and how some things need time and practice. Like for instance, Ronaldo is one of the best soccer players in the world. He is one of the best soccer players in the world, not only because he has talent, but because he practices. And what the man does to be on the top, and the sacrifice that he does, and he doesn't do only the standard training, he goes 1 hour extra, or he kicks the ball in the corner and makes this beautiful goal in the game because he has practiced it 100 times a day, every day. You know, and that is the joy of learning and the fun of playing, and these are small practices, like because I see that we forget. If I go to my work and I do every day the same route, it's it's one of the other games that I do every day. I'm not in that position anymore, but let's say you go every day at the same time, the same route to your office. You and I have both been in that stage. Then to make every day special, and one of the things that I did was like find something that I haven't seen before on this trip. And that can then, for instance, be the same tree. I see the tree, but the next day I see, oh, the tree has sprouted, and it wasn't there yesterday. Something, but to keep that alive, to keep that part of myself alive. And you were talking about people sleeping. People also make themselves and each other numb. Like it's
yeah, people make each other's numb if the situation that both people create obligation for each other. So for example, if you're in a relationship, there's always an obligation. I can't go out by myself. I always have to have dinner with you. Then it becomes a strain. So that's why it is. So for me, I don't have too much obligation with a lot of people. That's what I noticed. So then I have my own space, especially when I'm just 1 year old, right? So I have to do this. Yeah. That's why I'm not looking for any relationship or anything. Yeah, because I find unconditional love from cats, from fish, from frogs, from rabbit. That's why I look for them in nature. I really felt unconditional love from cats and all these animals.
Yeah, you know, I've been living with a cat for 6 years. It's really interesting. I would like to go to the gents' room for a second.
What, 4 o'clock already?
Okay, good.
Yeah, you got half an hour. So yeah, wait. Let's conclude this. So
yeah, no, close to me now because it's fresh. I need to go for some time, so I go and come.
Okay. Oh. My gosh. Cram. I got a cramp.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
Because yeah, I've been in position for 2 hours or something, I think.
Oh yeah.
Let's see how long have we been chatting.
4.
2 hours and 25 minutes.
Whoa!
Yeah. So I think we can conclude this conversation.
Can we? We have to maybe stop due time, but it's not a conversation.
My bladder is exploding, so that's the body signal. And you also have to go. It's the first time I have such a conversation, really, with another human being like this. And it always makes me feel alive, you know? Alive. Alive. Maybe that's what the body actually, just like when the body is hungry, it looks for food. But when the body wants X, it brings me to Alain. So what is that X? I don't know. You know, that's what it is. That X. So
I'm really grateful that you are here, and I enjoy the time that we shared together now, and it really was a space of meeting each other.
yes, real conversations, man. Real conversation.
Yes.
So open to receive.
So are you. I think that's where we meet.
Oh. Oh. Thank you. I gotta go to the toilet now.